الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين ولنجعله آية للناس ورحمة منا وكان أمرا مقضيا فحملته فانتبذت به مكانا قصيا فأجاءها المخاض إلى جذع النخلة قالت يا ليتني مت قبل هذا وكنت نسيا منسيا فناداها من تحتها ألا تحزني قد جعل ربك تحتك سريا. So Alhamdulillah, day before yesterday we discussed regarding how the angel appeared before Maryam alayhi salam and she was given the glad tidings of a son. At the same time she was confused and perplexed that how will this happen? وَلَمْ يَمْسَسْنِي بَشَرٌ وَلَمْ أَكُ بَغِيًّا, that nor am I married, nor have I done something wrong. So how will this happen? So that Jibreel alayhi salam replied, قَالَ كَذَلِكَ, that it will happen as is. The good news that was given to Zakariyya alayhi salam was the same. قَالَ كَذَلِكَ قَالَ رَبُّكَ هُوَ عَلَيَّ هَيِّنٌ. The malaika, the angels told Zakariyya alayhi salam that your Lord says it will happen as is. You will not get young, nor will your wife be young, nor will you get a new wife in your old age at the age of 120, in your wife being the age of 98, despite she being a barren or known to be a barren lady, she will still conceive and you will still get the good news and glad tidings of Yahya alayhi salam. So in the same way, good news were given to various Anbiya alayhi salam as well as non-Anbiya alayhi salam, malaika. We mentioned also that can malaika speak to normal human beings? So from this we come to know, yes, malaika can speak to the pious servants of Allah Ta'ala as well, even if they are not Anbiya alayhi salam. Like how Jibreel alayhi salam spoke to Maryam alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam was also given the good news by malaika. وَامْرَأَتُهُ قَائِمَةٌ فَضَحِكَتْ فَبَشَّرْنَاهَا بِإِسْحَاقَ وَمِنْ وَرَاءِ إِسْحَاقَ يَعْقُوبَ. That Ibrahim alayhi salam was given the good news by malaika, and at an old age he was given the good news of Ishaq alayhi salam while his wife was standing there. In another verse Allah Ta'ala says, فَصَكَّتْ وَجْهَهَا فَقَالَتْ عَجُوزٌ عَقِيمٌ. That she started slapping her face, like how a woman would do, or old woman would do. And she said, Ajuzun Aqim, he's so old, my husband is so old. And we are barren, and we know not to have children. How are we going to get children? So قَالَ كَذَلِكَ, Allah Ta'ala was giving, أَأَلِدْ وَأَنَا عَجُوزٌ وَهَذَا بَعْلِي شَيْخًا. In another verse, أَأَلِدْ, will I be giving a child? وَأَنَا عَجُوزٌ, I'm already a grandmother, what they say. I'm already a very old lady. وَهَذَا بَعْلِي شَيْخًا, and this husband of mine has become a sheikh. This husband of mine is very old. He's got white beard already. How will we get? The angel said, this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses and selects. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to choose, Allah ta'ala gives whomsoever He wants. A'alid, will I bear a child? Like the Arabic poet says, lidu lil mawti wabnu lil kharabi. Lidu lil mawt, that you are born to die. You are born to die. Wabnu lil kharabi, and everything you build one day is going to be ruins anyway. So while you are building, the reason you are building is going to become a ruin one day. So our reason for living obviously is the recognition of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but the poet puts it in a simple context, saying the reason you are born is that you're going to die one day. And the reason you're building everything, all your fancy homes, etc., that one day is going to become a ruin anyway. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses. قَالَ كَذَلِكَ, He said, this is it, and this is how it will happen. It shall happen. Allah yajtabi ilayhi man yasha wa yahdi ilayhi man yunib. Allah Ta'ala says that we choose, we select however we want. Allah yaqtassu bi rahmatihi man yasha. Allah Ta'ala showers His mercy or chooses upon whom He wants to give His mercy. Allahu a'lamu haythu yaj'alu risalatah. These are all that Allah Ta'ala knows exactly who to make His Nabi. When the kuffar of Makkah told Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that, how did you become a Nabi? You were a child that grew up in front of us, and now you're saying you are a prophet, you are a Nabi. Allahu a'lamu haythu yaj'alu risalatah. Allah Ta'ala knows who to make a Nabi. وَرَبُّكَ يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيَخْتَارُ. That your Lord creates whatsoever He wants, and He chooses whatsoever He wants. So it's the choice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have no choice in these matters. If we had a choice, would we be born? Had we seen what the condition of the world would have been in Alam al-Arwah, if we knew what's happening on earth, and then Jannah, we will Allah Ta'ala just send us directly to Jannah. We don't want to go through this, the stream of this world of tests and trials. قَالَ كَذَلِكَ. This is how it will happen. قَالَ رَبُّكِ هُوَ عَلَيَّ هَيِّنٌ. Your Lord says that this is indeed easy for me. We mentioned hayyin, easy, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for Him to create the entire humanity, millions and billions of people, and creating one human being is exactly the same. Allah Ta'ala created in the past as well, and Allah Ta'ala will continue to create. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا وَكَانَ أَمْرًا مَقْضِيًّا. And we will make him a sign. So what was the purpose of this miraculous birth of Isa alayhi salam? So Allah Ta'ala is mentioning, وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً. This was the glad tidings given to Maryam alayhi salam. That, okay, you saying I will get a child, you will saying it's going to be a miraculous child that is going to be born. I'm not married, nor have I done something wrong. What is the purpose of all this? Ayatan linnas, that we will make him a sign for the people, that they can reflect on the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Till now, till the day of Qiyamah, people will be speaking about the miraculous birth of Isa alayhi salam, that they will be reflecting on the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has control over everything, and how everything belongs to Allah ta'ala. Ala inna al-izzata lillahi jami'a. So people might say other things, but when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give izzat to someone, when Allah ta'ala wants to give izzat to someone, so this birth will be a means of izzat for Maryam alayhi salam, will be a means of izzat, respect and dignity for Isa alayhi salam. So because Maryam alayhi salam is thinking, what's going to happen to me? What will people think? And this is generally, will have this worry and concern, especially a person who's coming from a noble background. And in Bayanul Quran, it is mentioned that وَمَا يُتَرَاءَ لِغَيْرِهِ فَهُوَ لَهُ حَقِيقًا وَإِنَّمَا ذَلِكَ الْغَيْرِ أَحَدُ مَظَاهِرٍ لِغَيْرِهِ فَحَسْبٌ. Yani everything beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not the reality in itself. The reality is only Allah. Mawjud is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ta'ala gives the power to that person to do whatever they want. So for example, the sun that is shining, it is shining because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given it that power. It's not shining out of its own accord. The sun does not have the power to generate its own energy if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want it to be. And the simple way to understand this is, if you're looking at the radiance of the sun that is shining upon the earth or upon the moon. So the moon is shining white because the radiance of the sun is there. So in the same way, this makhluk is in existence because Allah Ta'ala wanted to exist. Besides that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He decides, the makhluk cannot exist on its own accord. And this is what we call masla-e madhariyya. In the aqaid, mas'alatul madhariyya comes under this ayat as well. That because Isa alayhi salam, he was born miraculously, but he didn't get the power to make himself a Lord or a God, or he's not the Lord himself, he's not the God himself. Although Isa alayhi salam had miraculous mu'jizat and miracles that he could perform, where he would pass his hands and people would get cured, the blind would start seeing, etc. So that does not make Isa alayhi salam God himself or make Isa alayhi salam the creator himself. Rather, Isa alayhi salam is an effect of the power of the creator. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's greatness and power. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ. We will make him a sign for the people. وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا. And a mercy from us for his followers. So it will be a mercy for those in the time of Isa alayhi salam that followed Isa alayhi salam. They gained salvation. And we mentioned that even for this ummah, Isa alayhi salam will also prove to be a mercy when he will kill Dajjal. وَكَانَ أَمْرًا مَقْضِيًّا. And this has already been ordained and decided. Everything has been ordained in the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there's no two ways about it. فَحَمَلَتْهُ فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا. So instantly she conceived. Fa, the letter fa in the Arabic language means to do something immediately, or something that has happened immediately. Wa means and it can have a break in between. And thumma means there's a gap in between. So if I say akaltu, thumma sharibtu, thumma nimtu, I ate and then I drank and then I slept. And if I say akaltu fa sharibtu fa nimtu, I ate immediately, I drank and immediately I went to sleep. Everything happened consecutively. So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining here. فَحَمَلَتْهُ فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا. So utilizing this letter of fa in the Arabic grammar, ulama say and mufassirin say that she instantly conceived and she had to leave. فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا. So she conceived instantly and went with him, she withdrew with him to a distant place, to a farmland, or in a farmland, what we could say, that she went to the date palms, etc. So some Mufassirin say that no, she waited as a normal woman would wait for 9 months, etc. But this was not the case. Jibreel alayhi salam, one narration is that he blew in the sleeve of Maryam alayhi salam. Instantly she conceived. The soul was then put into the fetus already. And one opinion of the Mufassirin is that Jibreel alayhi salam blew directly in front of Maryam alayhi salam, and as he blew, the soul was already in the womb of the embryo of Maryam alayhi salam. So Maryam alayhi salam conceived instantly. فَحَمَلَتْهُ فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا. She conceived immediately and she withdrew to a distant place. Now, looking at the point of Maryam alayhi salam, she's going through challenge after challenge. First of all, a man appearing in front of her, and then he's claiming to be an angel. Fair enough, he's saying that I will get a child, and after that, I actually conceived already immediately. Immediately, I'm already going into labor pain. So her trial and test is becoming more and more exacerbated, more and more increasing, and this is the condition of the dunya. Ulama say this is the condition of the dunya. Sometimes we think our test will finish here, or no, let me just finish my studies, then I'll be alright. Once you finish your studies, your test doesn't end. Now you need to find a job. Then you start looking for a job. Then your test don't end there. Now you need to look for a wife. You start looking for a wife. Then you realize the real test has started. Then you're enjoying your honeymoon, everything. No, now I need kids. So when you get kids, then even a bigger test. When they're small, they're alright. And when they're older, they say it gets even worse of a test. So this is dunya. It carries on one after the other. It will never end. The test will continue to increase. So Maryam alayhi salam also, she's going through test after test. Here also a reflection that sometimes we put people under so much pressure from a young age. Our children, we put them under so much pressure. You have to study, you have to do this, otherwise you won't achieve this. You have to do this, otherwise you won't achieve that. What happens is then we actually take them away from the reliance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's something called tawakkul as well. There's something called allowing them to rely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm not saying don't make them study. I'm not saying that. But making that their only goal. Our children's goal should be that you please Allah. Yes, you study also, you do your adab and muasharat also, you respect your parents also. But your goal in life should be pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not studies only. Today what happens is we push so much on studies and we don't discuss respect. So now that child's goal is no matter what happens, I must achieve my degree. Whether I hurt someone, whether I have to leave the home, whether I phone my parents, I don't phone my parents, I can find my own flat. I must achieve my degree no matter what. Because from a young age, that is the goal we put into the child's mind. And then again, after he's achieved his degree, now the second goal we give him is that look, you have to find a good job. If you don't have a good job, you're not a good son of mine, or you're not a good daughter of mine, or so that pressure, parents are putting pressure upon pressure. Then in that pressure, what happens? In finding a good job, they leave the parents also, and they leave the mahal of deen also, and then you find him after 10, 20 years in some distant land. Why? Because I had to get a good job. That was my dream in life. But that came at the sacrifice of so many other things. So many other things were put on to stake because just attaining that goal. Another goal we have is after getting married, one of our stars used to say that when couples get married, let them enjoy life. What happens as parents, or as grandparents, or as uncles, aunties, we pressure them. When is the child coming? When is the child coming? When is the child coming? So bichara, that instead of them enjoying their honeymoon, going 1-2 years together around here and there, they worry about the child. Then they go to this physician, that doctor, that medicine, this, and it ruins. Let people grow at their own time, in their own way. The only goal should be that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fulfill the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Everything else will follow in life. You want to become a doctor, no problem, but please Allah fulfill the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You want to become a businessman, no problem, but please Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Make that the goal of our children, then everything else doesn't matter. Khair, I don't know how did this come up, but this was just a thought that came. The challenges of life, sometimes we create those challenges. And we create it to such an extent where we feel that this is the only thing. If the child doesn't have that, then the child is a loser. We should not allow our children or no people around us to feel like that. So فَأَجَاءَهَا الْمَخَافَ حَمَلَتْهُ فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا. Sometimes we worry about what people will say. People will say everything. As long as we have not broken the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we have not gone against the ways of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, society is very quick to judge anyway. That was, Maryam alayhi salam was worried about that as well. What will society say? But then Allah ta'ala strengthened her heart and gave her the signs. Like an Arabic poet says, إِنْ عَابَ النَّاسُ مَقَالَتِي فَلَيْسَ قَوْلُهُمْ بِي يَضِيرُ. If I say a poetry and people say, oh no, I didn't do a good job, sometimes Maulana mashallah, he reads nice namaz and Maulana is thinking, wow, I read so nice. Musalis are like, nah, you don't know how to read, you don't know how to do this, you don't know how to do. We do it with our children as well sometimes. The child does something with so much passion, and then afterwards what we do is we just slate them. We like, you don't know how to write, you don't know how to read, you don't know. The next time they won't do that. They won't read, they won't write. إن عاب الناس مقالتي فليس قولهم بي يضير. If people say that my poetry is not good, I don't mind, because وقد قيل إن القرآن سحر وما يقول الرسول زور. That people forget about my poetry. People did not even leave the Quran. They even said the Quran is magic. What the Prophet ﷺ has brought is all lies, etc. So if the people didn't leave the prophets, why would they leave me and my poetry? So worrying about people sometimes can deter us from a lot of good things which we want to achieve in life, and we know it's in conjunction with our deen, and it will please Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Khair. Moving on to the labor pain of Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam. فَحَمَلَتْهُ, she conceived. فَانْتَبَذَتْ بِهِ مَكَانًا قَصِيًّا, she withdrew with him to a distant place. Some Mufassirin say that she actually left her home and she took an abode far away where no one could see her and no one could interact with her for those few months, for those 8 or 9 months while she was there, and then she delivered the child, etc. And from the context of the Quran, most of the Mufassirin say everything happened instantly. فَأَجَاءَهَا الْمَخَاضُ إِلَى جِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. So the labor pain brought her to the trunk of date palm. So now we all know, those of us that are married, that how severe and tense it gets for the women folk in labor pain, etc. And sometimes they get even more stressed. Again, same thing. The family members, they put pressure. Will it be a boy? Will it be a girl? What is it? Going for the first scan. That becomes a test for them. And then sometimes, because there's already many girls in the house, they be, oh, why is it not a boy? So we should not become those individuals that we start hurting other people's feelings, etc. فَأَجَاءَهَا الْمَخَاضُ إِلَى جِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. So the labor pain brought her to a date palm. And generally, if he's your first child, as a husband, you need other people to, to guide you, to direct you, to comfort you, that tell your wife this, do this, do this, do this. And then imagine the lady herself, she needs other people to comfort. Either she needs the husband by her side, or she needs her mom by her side, or she needs, the good nurse, good doctor, etc. But here Maryam alayhi salam is all alone. Her test has been intensified. إِلَى جِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. So it brought her to a date palm. It is mentioned this was a date palm that did not have any dates on it. It was a dry date twig of date palm, which was totally dry, without any season of dates, etc. قالت يا ليتني مت قبل هذا وكنت نسيا منسيا. She said, if only I died before this and I had been completely forgotten. If only I died before this and I had been completely forgotten. We mentioned this, that why did she say Ya laytani mittu qabla hada? Because the second thought, the second challenge, obviously the first challenge was the labor pain itself and the child itself. But now the second challenge is, what will I tell people? What will people say? And how will I answer to people? This is indeed a test and a trial for me. Mufassirin have written that at that moment, normally, a woman would not be in her senses, in her consciousness, etc. So that is why she uttered what she uttered. And others say that no, because desiring maut and desiring death is not something that is praiseworthy. We shouldn't be desiring death. Yes, if the death is to save yourself from a test and a trial, then you can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَبَطْنُ الْأَرْضِ خَيْرٌ مِّن ظَهْرِهَا. It comes in a hadith that sometimes so many tests and trials will come upon people, upon earth. There will be so much fitnas will be there, that فَبَطْنُ الْأَرْضِ, being below the earth is better than being above the earth. Being below the earth is better than being above the earth. And also the du'as is Allahumma ahyini idha kanat al-hayatu khayran li wa tawaffani idha kanat al-wafatu khayran li. Allah, give me life. If life is better for me, then let me live. And if death is better for me, then allow me to leave this world in a peaceful manner. And in the same way, on one of the du'as we make, that إِذَا أَرَدْتَ بِقَوْمٍ فِتْنَةً فَتَوَفَّنِي غَيْرَ مَفْتُونٍ. That, oh Allah, if you decide to test a nation, and if you decide to put a nation into fitna, فَتَوَفَّنِي غَيْرَ مَفْتُونٍ, then give me death so that I leave this world without any fitna, without any test and trials. Because anyone can slip. The test and trials, now what's coming in the world, and before Qiyamah it will come at the time of Dajjal, etc. We speak about Dajjal and people say, it will be so easy, kufr will be written on his forehead, so we won't just follow him. It's not as easy as it is. Because we all know who are the Dajjals of today, yet we are following. We know that this person who's on the stage, is singing, dancing, whatever it is, he is part of the group of Dajjal, yet people are following in the millions and billions. So these are tests and trials that we slip away. So why did Maryam alayhi salam ask, Ya laytani mittu qabla hada that it could be that in this, because my test and trial is intensifying and it's getting worse and worse. Now I will have to face the people also. It could be in the challenge of facing people, it must not be that I fail the test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why she asked Allah ta'ala that if only I could be dead قبل هذا, before this test upon me, وكنت نسيا منسيا, and that I had died before this has happened to me. Nasyam mansiya, I had been completely forgotten. Completely forgotten, we mentioned that nasiya yansa in Arabic language means to forget, and completely forget means, so one is you forgot something where the teacher says, what the teacher says, did you do your homework? And be like, oh, I forgot to do my homework, let me do it now. And the other one is when the teacher says, did you do your homework? And be like, what homework? Yeah. I don't know about any homework. That generally our boys, our young boys in madrasa and in school, they come up with nasyam mansiya all the time. You know, they even forgot that the teacher told them that they had to do some homework. خير فناداها من تحتها ألا تحزني قد جعل ربك تحتك سريا. Then he called her from below, saying, don't grieve, that your Rabb has certainly created a stream beneath you. So now Maryam alayhi salam has left from where she was. She's come into this farm area. She found a date palm tree. She's holding on to this date palm tree, or she's sat under it. And at the same time, she's making this dua that, oh Allah, either take my life, or how am I going to answer people? Let me just be forgotten. Don't test me in. Mufassirin have written that she said she asked for death because she was worried that if she fails the test of Allah Ta'ala, what will happen? Not what people will say. People will say all sorts. People can say something. But in this test, if I go against the commandments of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, if I start saying something that is lies, or if I start saying something that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala would be displeased, then how would I stand in front of Allah? This was her piety that made her made her make these du'as. فَنَادَاهَا مِن تَحْتِهَا. So he called her from beneath, meaning Jibreel alayhi salam. So she was on the higher land, and Jibreel alayhi salam was standing below the hill or below the mountain, and he announced to her, فَنَادَاهَا مِن تَحْتِهَا. He called her, nada, to call someone from a distance. So how did we know that Jibreel alayhi salam was at a distance? Because the word nida is used. Nida means when someone is far away, you shout out to them, or you call out to them. Min tahtiha, from a lower land. Allah tahzani, that do not grieve. قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ سَرِيًّا. Don't worry about water, food, what will people say, etc. قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ سَرِيًّا. Live in the present. Sometimes people who are depressed, etc., what do you tell them? Forget the past. Worry about today. Worry about the present. Allah Ta'ala has given you so much. Today, unfortunately, we grieve. We grieve about everything that we don't have. And we don't appreciate everything we have. So a person who's on a bicycle, he's worried and is grieving about, why don't I have a car? If only I had a car, I would have done so much khidmat for my parents. I would have gone to buy them milk and bread, without making a fuss. I would have gone to work, I would have gone to this masjid for namaz and that masjid for namaz. But we're not appreciating the benefit that we have right now. You have a bicycle, appreciate that you got a bike. Do what you can do with it. The person in the car, he's grieving that he don't have a fancy one. He's only got a Skoda. Now he's saying, no. If I had, one upper grade, maybe a C class or an S class or something, spin tires, people must see that Maulana is coming, and all this. But he's not appreciating that Allah Ta'ala has already given you 4 wheels. You can do your work, what else you need? And the person who's in that level, he wants to go into another level. He wants a helicopter, or he wants, in a private jet, etc. Now he's grieving that why don't he have that? So Allah tahzani, don't worry and don't grieve about anything. قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ سَرِيًّا. Worry about now. Sometimes we worry about the future too much as well. What will happen in the future? What will happen to my children? what will happen to this and what will. Don't worry too much about the future. Worry about what is happening right now. That your Rabb has certainly created a stream beneath you. That for now, the most important thing for you and for everyone, for the child, is that you eat properly and you saturate yourself, get some nutrition, etc. And this is a form of consolement as well. When we console people who are sick, etc. So kind of don't worry about the sickness. Look, this I brought soup for you. I brought this for you. I brought that for you. So Jibreel alayhi salam was consoling Maryam alayhi salam that don't worry about anything. Don't worry about your food, your drink, what people are going to say, etc. If everything is here for you. Allah Ta'ala had opened a stream, or there was already a stream there. وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطَبًا جَنِيًّا. And shake the trunk of the date palm towards you, causing fresh ripened dates to fall upon you. Fresh dates will fall. So it wasn't the season, but fresh dates will fall. Just like how Maryam alayhi salam was not married, and she conceived a child miraculously without doing anything wrong, etc. So in the same way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed her that just like how this date palm will throw out fresh dates and it will be beneficial to you, you will also give birth to a child that will be beneficial to mankind. So this was a sign. And from here also, physicians, etc. will tell you that dates are very good to eat, which you're going to eat right now, inshallah. But especially for women in labor pain, etc., they should have something that is nutritious, as well as it creates warmth in the body to stimulate the birth, etc. بِجِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ تُسَاقِطْ عَلَيْكِ رُطَبًا جَنِيًّا. It will throw dates that will fall upon you, will be ripened. فَكُلِي وَاشْرَبِي وَقَرِّي عَيْنًا. So eat, drink, and cool your eyes. This is the consolement. Eat, drink, and cool your eyes, meaning be at ease. You are in labor pain, you need to calm down, you need to take things easy so that the birth can be done with ease. فإما ترين من البشر أحد فقولي إني نذرت للرحمن صوما فلن أكلم اليوم إنسيا. Inshallah, we will continue tomorrow what had happened, then how did Maryam alayhi salam deliver the child, and how did Isa alayhi salam, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved the honor and dignity of Maryam alayhi salam. Because people and society, as I mentioned, they will go on at anything and everything. So we, even as Muslims, sometimes we walk into a non-Muslim group or non-Muslim communities, etc. It's time for namaz. We feel shy to perform our salah. Why should we? If you don't find a place, and if you don't have a place wherever you are, even if you're seated, in a chair or on the flight, etc., say, sorry, you can't pray salah, no problem. Start praying your salah in the flight. But when we shy away and be like, what will others say? That is where we go wrong. Because people will say all sorts. They have been saying for years, they haven't left prophets, they haven't left the Quran itself, they haven't left scriptures. So who are you and I? We need to worry that what is our goal in life is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to make sure that our connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ever increasing. And if it breaks, obviously we make tawbah and we continue that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another aspect is that in terms of a lot of people complain, in regards to depression, etc. That for them, the reflection is that live in the moment. We need to start living in the moment. Don't worry about your future. I'm not saying don't plan for the future, but don't worry about it. You plan what you can plan. You don't have to worry or grieve over it and grieve over your past. This is what I have done in the past, what will happen? This is what I have done in the past, what will happen? Live in the present, and day by day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open doors for each and every individual. May Allah ta'ala grant us all the understanding. Okay.
36.
26.
36.
36. Doa ke बाद اللهم لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير خلق كلهم. اللهم لك الحمد كله ولك الشكر كله وإليك يرجع الأمر كله. لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. اللهم يا قاضي الحاجات اقض حاجاتنا، يا دافع البليات ادفع عنا بلياتنا، يا شافي المرضى اشف مرضانا. اللهم استر عوراتنا وآمن روعاتنا. اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا واهد الناس جميعا، واجعلنا سببا لذلك يا أرحم الراحمين، يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين، يا راحم المساكين، يا ذا القوة المتين. أصلح لنا شأننا كله ولا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين، فإنك إن تكلنا إلى أنفسنا تكلنا إلى ضعف وخطيئة. اللهم رب اغفر وارحم وتجاوز عما تعلم، إنك أنت العز الأكرم. اللهم رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا، رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا، رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين، وعاف موتانا موتى المسلمين. اللهم اقض الديون عن المدينين. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وسكنهم في الجنة. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وروحهم في الجنة. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم وادخلهم في الجنة. اللهم نقهم من الذنوب والخطايا كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس. اللهم حاسبنا حسابا يسيرا. اللهم اجعل قبرهم روضة من رياض الجنة، ولا تجعل قبورهم حفرة من حفر النار. اللهم اجعلنا لك ذكارا ولك شكارا، لك راغبا، لك مطواعا، لك مخبتا، إليك أواها منيبا. اللهم ربنا تقبل توبتنا واغسل حوبتنا واجب دعوتنا وثبت حجتنا وسدد ألسنتنا واستل سقيمة صدورنا. Oh Allah, forgive our sins, O Allah. Forgive our major and minor sins, O Allah. O Rahim, Allah, have mercy upon us, O Allah. O Kareem, Allah, have mercy upon us, O Allah. And shower us in your mercy, O Allah. We are in need of your mercy, O Allah. O Allah, we are in need of your mercy, O Allah. O Allah, you announce your mercy for us forever and forever. O Allah, let your mercy be with us till we enter into Jannah, O Allah. Even in Jannah, O Allah, we are in need of your mercy, O Allah. O Allah, do not leave us to our nafs and shaitan, O Allah. Do not leave us to our egos, O Allah. O Allah, do not leave us to the wretchedness of shayateen, O Allah. O Allah, you safeguard us from every angle, O Allah. Safeguard our youth, O Allah. Safeguard our adults, O Allah. Safeguard our women folk, O Allah. Safeguard our men, O Allah. Safeguard our children, O Allah. O Allah, our parents, O Allah, those of our parents that have passed away, O Allah. You fill their graves with noor and blessings, O Allah. Those of our parents that are alive, O Allah, grant them complete shifa and afiyat, O Allah. O Allah, let the shelter and shade be upon us with afiyat, O Allah, for a long time, O Allah. O Allah, accept our little khidmat of ours, O Allah. Accept our little ibadat, O Allah. O Allah, we are not worthy of being accepted, O Allah, but you accept it, O Allah. O Allah, we are like the little child that have scribbled on the paper, O Allah, and comes running and showing it to its parents, O Allah. The parent praises the child, O Allah, awards the child and rewards the child, O Allah. O Allah, you accept the scribbling of ours. Accept our fasting. Accept our fasting, O Allah. Accept our little ibadah that we do, O Allah. Our salat, O Allah. Have mercy upon this ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. O Allah, this ummah that your Habib cried for, Allah. This ummah your Habib had tossed and turned for, Allah. This ummah that your Habib has shed his blood for, Allah. O Allah, have mercy upon this ummah once again, O Allah. O Allah, this ummah is calling out around the world, O Allah, in this month of Ramadan, O Allah. After every iftar, at every iftar, O Allah. At every taraweeh, O Allah. Every tahajjud, O Allah. Every fajr, O Allah. Every day and night, O Allah, this ummah is calling out, O Allah, for salvation, O Allah. O Allah, grant this ummah the leader that it needs, O Allah. O Allah, grant this ummah this salvation that it needs, O Allah. Grant this ummah, O Allah, the shelter that it needs, O Allah. Grant this ummah the afiyat and the ifat that it needs, O Allah. O Allah, the dignity that it needs, O Allah. Ala inna al-izzata lillahi jami'a. وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ O Allah. You have announced in your Quran, O Allah, that izzat and dignity belongs to Allah and the Prophet and the believers, O Allah. O Allah, today this ummah has been disgraced, O Allah. O Allah, return its dignity, O Allah. Restore its dignity, O Allah. You accept our ibadat, O Allah. Accept our du'as, O Allah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم لك صمت وبك آمنت وعلى رزقك أرجوت.